TikTok, how you doing? I'm Jeff. Actually, that's not bad, huh? That's weird. All right. Well, it's kind of a... Now, I gotta have some light, but that's so bright. This is iPad I'm using. How's everybody doing tonight? How is everybody doing tonight? Let me turn this on. There we go. All right. Happy Easter. Yes, happy Easter, everybody. I want to wish everybody... My other glasses broke yesterday. I buy the cheap readers, and they broke. So, happy Easter, everybody. Hope everyone had a great Easter. I did. Hey, New York City. Still dealing with this Rocky Mountain spotted fever that I got last week, or I was diagnosed with it last Monday. Still taking my medication. Hey, Elizabeth, how are you? Good. I'm glad you're very well. Actually, let me move this over. So I use because of my terrible eyesight, as you can see, I have another iPad set up where I actually see the questions or see the comments. So that way I can, I don't have to look, I have to bend over and look like that, like a lot of people do, So anyway, so that's the story with that. I'm glad everyone's coming on. I decided to do a last minute live. I wasn't sure, how long people were going to accompany. We're going to stay over today. We host Easter here at the house, so I didn't know how long people were staying. But anyway, it's funny. I'm downloading music. So when I used to be a DJ, I also hosted karaoke. I was a karaoke host. Sang a few songs. Okay, I wasn't that great, but I wasn't terrible either. Anyway, I have this huge library of music, 100,000 karaoke songs that I had built up over the years. So I found an app for the iPad today, so I'm downloading all my karaoke to the iPad, just so I can have fun with it. I can hook up to the TV and, we can sing karaoke, the family. I haven't done it in a while. But we haven't talked in a few days, too. I had that eviction the other day. I want to talk about that. If anyone's been following me, that one was an interesting eviction. So I'll talk about that eviction, and so I will tell you, this week coming, there are a lot of auctions, so hopefully they won't get canceled. I can go to a few auctions. I can throw those on TikTok, which will be good. So I like music. I'm always playing music. I have a very, very interesting taste in music. You know what's funny? This song here, the Jeff Bezos song, if you listen to the first sentence, it could be me. Because I was born in 1964. Born in 1964, Jeffrey. See? Entrepreneur, right? Born in 1964, and my name's Jeffrey. And, but I'm a CEO. But I don't have the money that he has. Yeah, he left that property a mess. So, that's not the worst I've ever seen. From my attitude being a landlord has changed so much through the years. When I was first a landlord and somebody left the property that mess, I was so upset. I'd lose sleep over it. I'd be really upset. Now it's like, hey, I'm glad he's out. Let's get it cleaned up. Let's get it renovated, and let's get it re-rented. That's really my position I take on it. Now, I got to tell you a story on that guy. That guy applied for rent relief, but what he did was, after he applied for rent relief, and Heather was helping him in the office, he called rent relief and he changed the paperwork, and he was actually trying to get them to send him the money. So he was committing a little bit of fraud. He got caught. Rent relief caught him, and they denied him the rent relief. So at that point, all bets are off. He listens to a lot of Raffi. It's funny when my nephews and nieces used to love Raffi when I was, I guess Raffi was popular when I was in my 20s, but my nieces and nephews loved Raffi. Of course, I was the fun uncle. I was the funkle, right? So anyway, so let me tell you about that. So he had a girlfriend move in with him, and I guess he has a little boy that he has on the weekends. For some reason, the little boy was visiting. And so he took his stuff out of the apartment. I don't know if you saw the video. And he wrote us a letter because by law we need an abandonment letter. So he wrote saying I took all my belongings. Anything else in the apartment I'm abandoning. So We changed the lock in the apartment. So he was outside waiting for a ride, waiting for somebody to come pick him up with all the stuff. And I went into the apartment, and what's in there? They always do it. They leave the toys. They leave the children's toys. That is heartbreaking to me. And I know what they do. They'll probably go to Goodwill after and buy new toys or whatever. But you know what? It's the kids' toys. So I went out and I said to him, I said, look, you have all your children's toys in here. Do you want them? Well, yeah, I guess. I said, all right, well, so Andrew and I grabbed the 2 bins. He had them all in bins ready to go. So he gave him the toys. But the problem I have is that you got to feel bad for the kids, because here's a guy. Well, first of all, the other thing is this. So he had a bunch of tires in the apartment, so we couldn't figure out what they were. They were all cut. Well, one of my employees, who's a little bit more street savvy and street smart than I am, said, well, Jeff, what they do is when people steal tires with the rims, they cut the tire off the rim. So that's why it's cut, because it was all just thin tires there. So I didn't know that. But the thing is that you're right. I just you got to let them go. It's too bad they lived like that. Now that's how they lived. Now one of the rooms in there, they had a little dog. One of the rooms, I don't know if you saw it in the video or not, had all dog poop in there. So they didn't even take the dog outside. This guy didn't take the dog outside. Now here's the kicker. When he got evicted, 2 weeks ago, or when we got the eviction in court, I do this with most of my tenants. We go through the process. I've talked about this. In fact, yesterday I mailed out it was the 16th, I mailed out the 5-day demands that Jasmine and Andrew prepared on Friday. But you can't mail them out until the 16th. It has to be the 16th. We offer jobs. So what happened was this. So he had a girlfriend move in with him that wasn't supposed to move in there. The girlfriend called up Jasmine, yelled and screamed at Jasmine, talked to Andrew, yelled and screamed at Andrew. How can you kick him out? Blah, blah, blah. So I go, Andrew's great. I'm in my office, right? I hear Andrew on the phone with this woman. And Andrew says, well, what do you do for a living? Her answer was, don't you realize it's COVID? Andrew said, no, I don't. COVID's over. And I see help wanted signs. What do you do for a living? She goes, I'm out of work because of COVID. So then he said, okay, what does Dennis do? Dennis is the tenant. What's he do? Well, he was a landscaper, but he's out because of COVID too. So Andrew said, well, we're looking for a landscaper. Tell him to come over here and apply for a job. We're looking for a landscaper. Right? She's like, no, we're out of work because of COVID. So that's why I proceeded with the eviction. Here we are, offered them both jobs, And they're like, no, we'd rather not work. We'd rather just stay home. So at that point, all bets are off. What are you supposed to do? You offer him a job. All bets are off at that point. What are you supposed to do, right? So that's a bunch of crap. We offer him jobs. Now, I'm going to tell you about another tenant. So this week we have another tenant who her boyfriend moved in without our permission. So we didn't know the boyfriend's name. Oh, excuse me 1 second. So I just got butt dialed by my wife. I got butt dialed. I hear them talking in the other room. She butt dialed me. Hey, Carissa. I'm in the middle of my live. You butt dialed me. You butt dialed me. I'm in the middle of my live. Very unprofessional. All right. I know it's very unprofessional. But I never said I was a professional, so I could be unprofessional. So anyway, so she has this boyfriend move in. We don't know his name, okay? Now, it's important that we know who these people are, what their background is. So we send her notices, let her know, look, you're in violation of the lease. You had this guy move in with you. But here's the thing. You know how we found out that he moved in? Because all of the other tenants calling and complaining about the yelling and screaming and fighting that they do and banging, okay? And the police have been there. That's how we found out the boyfriend moved in. So now we start giving her a hard time. Yeah, Bermuda. Listen, I see the cruise. I see all the videos, TikTok. Every time I see a cruise video, the people on all the Royal Caribbeans and Norwegians stuff. Believe me, it bums me out when I see all those cruises. But I'm gonna be going. We're definitely gonna be going on a cruise. I'm just gonna book it and just tell the family, hey, we're going on a cruise, whether you like it or not. But yeah, I feel the same way. But yeah, so here's what happened, right? So the boyfriend's there. We send them all notices. You can't. And the only reason we found out is because the other tenants are complaining. So quiet enjoyment, right? This person lets the boyfriend move in without permission, doesn't tell us. We don't know until the other tenants complain and the police are there because of domestic disputes going on. So now what happens is we send her the eviction notice on the 4th. You'll love this one. On the 4th of April, we send a notice. And it says to her that, we're not renewing your lease. You're going to have to move out June 1st. You need to move out. We're not renewing your lease. You had the boyfriend move in. You're breaking the rules. You have the police there, the whole thing. On the 5th, what does she do? She hires a lawyer and says that a ceiling tile fell on her head. Or not her head, or somebody's head. So in the apartment. But here's the funny part. So we get a letter from one of those, the personal injury bill collector, ambulance chase lawyers. That's all they do. So we got a letter. I think it was on Tuesday from this law firm saying we represent so and so. Actually, Tyra, we represent Tyra, and in her personal injury claim from the 5th. Again, the day after we evicted her. So here's the funny part. The next day, I get a letter from another lawyer. Hey, we represent Tyra for the injury sustained, blah, blah, blah. So I don't know which lawyer is representing her. So these lawyers' letters are always the same. They're always the same. It says, please forward this to your insurance company. Now, yeah, eventually I'm going to have to, within a reasonable time, I do have to let my insurance company know. But I don't want to see these lawyers waste their time because obviously she's under eviction. So that's number one. Number two is, which lawyer did she hire? We don't know which lawyer she hired. So all I did is send a letter to both lawyers and saying, look, we got multiple attorneys contacting us about the same claim. You might want to work amongst yourselves and figure out which one is which. So meanwhile, that's neither here nor there. So if she got hurt, she got hurt. If it's legitimate, the insurance company will pay it. So now she calls me to make the appointment for us to go in there and fix the ceiling. So while we're on the phone, we're arguing because we're going to put the ceiling tiles back up. And she goes, oh, you can't put those back up. Why not? Because they fell and they're broken. I said, well, no, we're going to put the new ones up. Yeah, but you can't staple them. I said, that's how they go up. They're those 12 by 12 foam ceiling tiles, which if they fall on your head, you're not going to get hurt. Anyway, so she goes, well, I'm in construction. You're in construction, I said. Wonderful. And you're out of work because you got rent relief and you're out of work collecting. I got a job opening. What do you do in construction? Click. She hung up on me. Another one. I offer her a job and she hung up on me. Okay. So now, perfect. Now I can let rent relief know and unemployment know that I offered her a job and she turned me down. So it's unbelievable. It's funny. She didn't hire Sparks Law, and it's so my wife's a lawyer, as you know, an attorney. And I was telling my wife this story. And I said to her, and believe it or not, I have not, well, actually I have. I've had a dealing with Sparks Law once. Seems like a go-getter. And I got to tell you something, little different than the other lawyers. But he looks like he does a good job. So you know what? I guess if I was going to hire one of those attorneys, I think Sparks Law would be the one that I would talk to first, to be honest with you. But anyway, yeah, I know it's not suspicious. The day after I tell her that she's moving out of the apartment, she hires a lawyer and says she got hurt. That's going to be an interesting one, Yeah, you get the heavy hitter out there. We've dealt with a heavy hitter before. He's actually a nice guy. But I got to tell you something, I think I've told you this. When the 17 years I owned a nightclub, probably got 25 lawyers' letters, never paid one claim. Because there's always two sides to a story. Like these lawyers don't know that she's under eviction. So now when I get the lawyers, I forgot to tell you the story. This is the most important part. I get the lawyer's letter, it has her name on it, and guess what? It has the boyfriend's name on it. Beautiful. Now we know the boyfriend's name. Because we have to go through the official eviction process, and because he's there, we have to put his name on the thing. But meanwhile, we do a background check on him. What the hell was his name? Andrew because I don't have the paperwork with me, because I don't mind, saying his name because it's public record. So anyway, we do a background check on him. He has a ton of domestic violences, domestic assaults, DUIs. He's a bum, okay? So like Andrew said, he would never come to the office and, fight me or Andrew because we're men. He only beats up women. Anyway, hey, Jeff, I'm a 17-year-old kid in high school. I have a job. What's a good side gig for you? So, well, what do you like to do? What are your interests for your side gig? And do you want to get another job? Are you looking for a side gig to another job? And what are your interests? What do you like to do? You know what I'm saying? When you get a job, so when I was younger, I had a variety of jobs. I was a dishwasher at one point, cut grass at one point. Of course, I was a counselor at a group home for boys, for foster home, and of course I taught special ed, disc jockey. So I had a variety of jobs when I was a kid, right? I always tell people, try different things because you don't know what you're like. I always kind of migrated back to my roots, which was being a DJ in high school. So I kept going back to that, the theatrical, the lighting, which I grew into a business. So I kind of always went back to that, but I still tried other things. Oh, I was a security guard too. I worked third shift as a security guard. In fact, I worked third shift as a security guard in two different places. One was a factory in Providence, right? And the other one was, I don't know if I ever told this story, which I never did. So I got a job as a security guard at Johnson & Wales. At the time it was college, now it's a university, Johnson & Wales University. I worked third shift, 11 to 7, as a security guard, and I loved it, okay? Now at the time I think I was, 22, 23. Now the security guard there, you worked the front desk. If the students came in, you had to make sure they had IDs and this and that. So, of course, the students there are, 20, 21. So I got friendly with it. So the students would come back. So that's a culinary school. So they'd work till 1 a.m, out doing whatever, working at one of the hotels, one of their properties, working as a waitress or a hotel manager. So they would come back, and they're wide awake at 1 a.m. So they would hang out with me. Well, anyway, make a long story short, I got fired because I was dating one of the girls. But it doesn't matter. It is what it is. So that happened when I was like 22. So anyway, so I've tried different jobs. So looking for the side gig, I would say, look, that's a great opportunity to try something you never tried, to see if you like it. Knowing what I know now, and of course, people say, do you have regrets? I don't have regrets. I'm glad I followed my first love and did what I loved. And then later on, obviously diversified. But I always say, I think you got to do what you like. You can't do a job you hate. You'll be miserable your whole life. So the only way you'll do that is by trying different things. Paper route in high school for 3 years. So when my brothers, I have 4 brothers, 4 older brothers. I'm the youngest of 4. They all had paper routes. Every single one of them had paper routes. And they were in the Boy Scouts, as I was too. So what happened was when they would go on Boy Scout camping trips or in the summer, I would do their paper route for them, And I got to tell you something, paper route was a tough job back then. You walk around with a big bag of papers on your back and you have to go drop them off. So paper routes not, that was now these days, now I know that paper routes, people drive around in their car and throw them out the window. So it's a lot different than the old days. The old days, you used to put it on the front step, So, the ice cream shops are doing very well since they opened, Obviously, the ice cream shops, as long as people know they're open and they go to them. So they are doing very well. Thank you for asking. The ice cream shops hold their own. It's a great little business. It's a great summer business, great seasonal business. I got to tell you something. This year, we have so much. I graduated from Warwick Vets in 1982. To answer the question, I graduated in 1982 from Warwick Vets. That year, I was the president of the student council in 1982. And then I went back to Warwick Vets for 18 years after that, 18 years to produce the Letterman Follies. It was a big fundraiser talent show that they did every year. And I would go back, set up big screens, the sound system, microphones. I really enjoyed it. It was, I was into the business anyway. And so I went back and did. So anybody that went to Warwick Vets that was in that show would know who I am because I did the sound. They used to make, so the show was a fundraiser, and they did every year. It was a talent show, and they had two nights, Friday and Saturday night, 1,000-seat auditorium. They used to sell that auditorium out, sell the show out 2 nights in a row every year. It was great. So hired a 14-year-old last week to fill holes with dirt and move firewood, and he tried to charge me. You hired him and he tried to charge you. Charge you what? If you hired him, you had to pay him, right? There's something missing there. He tried to charge you. To fill holes in, what did he try to? Oh, $37 an hour. Yeah, I know, that's ridiculous. So you know what the problem is, and that's funny. You listen, Brian, I'm going to tell you a story. So a couple of years ago, I met some kids. They had just gotten out of high school, and they were starting a landscaping business, right? Now, I need landscapers for my properties. So I had them quote me on this job. They quoted me like $2,500 for this house cleanup. So the problem is this. When you're starting out a business, whether you like it or not, I did it in my audiovisual business. I did it in the waste business. You're starting out in a business. You got to keep your prices low. Build your customer base. Once you get your customer base down, now it's supply and demand. Now, if you don't want to do the cheap jobs, you take on more expensive jobs. But if you start out charging way too much money and asking too much money, and you don't get work, A, you're going to get frustrated, and B, you're never going to build that customer base. My attitude is keep it cheap. Work as cheap as you can. Fill up your schedule of customers. It doesn't matter. Just the cash flow will keep you going. Even if it takes a month, 2 months, 3 months. I'm talking about as a landscaper, right? Then now you're doing a good job. You have references, right? These people will give you references because you're working for them inexpensively and you're doing a good job. That's what you do. Then you raise your prices. But $37.50 for a high school kid, that's ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. At $37 an hour, that's ridiculous. That's just somebody not understanding how much things cost these days. So yeah, that was ridiculous. 37. Yeah, no kidding. That's ridiculous. $20 an hour is fantastic. You probably paid them cash, right? Because when you hire a kid for a couple of hours, a few hours, just do a job, you're not going to, put them on payroll, So $20 an hour, you bought his lunch, you still were generous. That was extremely generous for a kid that filled some holes. So I feel your pain there, Brian. Hey, by the way, so your name is Shop Tech. So I always like to ask, when I see people's, that's an interesting, intriguing name for me. What does that mean, Brian, Shop Tech? I'd like to know what Shop Tech is. I like to get to know you folks too, and I see things like that, So, yeah. So Brian, Shop Tech. Where'd the Shop Tech come from? I'm just curious. But yeah, 37 an hour. That's a lot of money. I wouldn't pay my maintenance. My maintenance guys don't make 37 an hour. But, when it's a one-off job like that. But I would give anybody advice that's starting a business. If you're starting a business, no matter what it is, a service business, keep your prices low. Let the person say, why are your prices so low? My prices are low because I'm starting this business out and I want to build my customer base. You be honest with them. You're honest with the customers. In the audiovisual business, audiovisual business in Lincoln. Wow. An auto repair business in Lincoln and just sold 5 franchises last year. So in your business, you franchised it and sold 5 franchises? That's fantastic. I'd love to interview you sometime. That's impressive. That's cool. So smoking meats for 8 years and grow into a business. That's cool. That's a unique niche business too. But yeah, so in the audiovisual business, okay, I've talked about this before. When we price a job out, $25,000, $30,000, $40,000, we're half of the hotel's AV company when they quote on it. So the customers get a little nervous. Oh, why are you so cheap? Why? We're honest with them. The hotel, the AV company, the hotel splits it with the hotel. So number one, they're charging you double because they want to split the hotel. Okay. And think about the waste of money that is. You're paying double just for the hotel to get a commission for recommending that AV company. So we're honest with them. And also, the other reason we're honest with them is, look, Jeff Butler owns the audiovisual company. It's not a publicly traded company where we have stockholders that have to make a certain amount of dividends. It's me. So when a salesman comes to me, hey, Jeff, I got this show. I priced it out. It came to $50,000. I think that we'll get it for $40,000. So what I always do with this, okay, I always say to the salesmen when they sell a show, figure out what our expenses are going to be to do that show. See how much it's going to cost to do that show. For instance, this one here is in Tampa, Florida that we're talking about. So we drive to Tampa. So renting the truck, gas, everything costs about $4,000. But that gets 2 of our guys there too. So on this particular show, it's going to cost $12,000 to do $12,000 to do the show. That's what it costs us to do the show. It doesn't include expenses of running the office, my insurance, all that stuff. It's just to do that show is $12,000 labor in labor in the truck. Well, we're at 40,000. So I'm like, well, Joe, if it's going to cost us 12, we're at 40. We do have 20% of administrative costs. So you take the 40 minus 8, which is 20%. So 32. So 32, you take off the 12. Now it's $20,000 clear profit. The salesman makes commission on the clear profit. I make the rest, right? It's my business, and I own all the equipment. So we then can say, okay, we want to get the show. How much do we want to discount that 20,000? 18, 17, 16, because it's just me and him. So that's how we sell the show in the audiovisual business, right? We're competitive and we keep it reasonable. So that way the customers keep coming back to us and we're still making a lot of money. If you add that up and you do a lot of those shows, when we're going big, when we're busy, we're doing 5-6 shows a week, okay, at $20,000 profit. So that's the story with that. So the reason we don't buy a truck, that's a good point. So we used to use our own trucks to travel, right? But you put a lot of mileage. We're traveling to Tennessee. We're going to Texas. We're going to Florida. We put a ton of mileage on the trucks, right? And the maintenance and the set. If a truck breaks down, what do you do in Georgia? So it has been more cost effective for us to rent a truck from a national company. So that way, we're on our way to Texas. We break down in Tennessee. We call the national company. They bring us another truck right there. We put our equipment into that truck, and we move on to our job. We cannot risk at all being late for a job. Like I said, 40, 50, 60, $100,000 conference. We can't risk it. So renting the truck is always the way to go. It's always a newer truck. It always that's maintained by the company, and we have the roadside assistance. So there's no doubt in my mind that is the way to go. We rent the truck and we just charge it to our show. We own 3 trucks here, 4 trucks actually locally, that we do local jobs, local events up to Boston. We'll use it sometimes to go to New York because that's only 2.5 hours from here. We use our trucks locally, but any national shows, we rent trucks. It's not worth taking it. There's no loans, no maintenance, like Brian's saying, and it is. It's 100% write-off as a rental, and then, like I said, a newer truck. So we use, in fact, Christie's for the 99% of the trucks we rent. We use Christie's truck rental here in Johnston, Rhode Island, and I got to tell you something. Great service. They have a company they've partnered with on roadside assistance, so we can go anywhere, break down. We've had trucks break down on us, and they've gotten us new trucks. So we've continued to use them. They're great. They're great to work with. We also use Penske once in a while too. But anyway, and you don't have to store the truck because these trucks we rent are usually 24-foot box trucks or 26-foot box trucks. So these are big trucks that we use to do the shows. We fill them up with the equipment. So that's the story with that. That's just the cost of doing business. And again, we can be competitive with the other AV companies because of the way that we do the business. But I don't etch prices in stone. I always talk to my salespeople. Hey, what do you think? What do you want to do this show for? It might be a new customer. Do I want to discount a little more to get them aboard? So that way, we're confident that once we do a show for a customer, they're going to use us again. And that's exactly what happens. We've built a great customer base because we do a good job. And when you do a good job, they come back, In business, it takes years to grow. Mistake could ruin you, sadly. So here's the story with that. Yes, you're right. We've obviously through the years, we've had growing pains. We've made mistakes through the years that has lost us clients that they won't come back to us. We've had clients that will come back to us when we made a mistake. It's all how you handle the mistake. That's important, and so that's why it's so important once you get a customer, keep them happy, because it's so hard to get in business. It's so hard. And it costs so much money to get new customers. Treat them right and do a good job. The audiovisual business is back up and running 100%. We are very busy. In fact, I was looking at the calendar a few minutes ago. We have a show in Tampa next week. Nashville. What was the other one? Tampa, Nashville, Chicago. And so we're busy. We're busy, which is really nice, you know. Yeah, so what happens is if you have a problem with it, so in this business, sometimes you don't get a second chance, okay? Because the people you're working for, this is a conference, you know, for their organization. It has to go perfect. Now, there's been times when it hasn't gone perfect, and it wasn't our fault, and we still lost the customer. There's nothing you do about that. You can't. It's unfortunate. The other thing that happens is this. I'll tell you where we lose a lot of customers, and it's not our fault. We do a lot of conferences that are regional conferences. It's a national organization, but they'll have a Northeast conference, a Southeast conference, a West Coast conference, a Northwest Coast, so they'll have 4 or 5 conferences around the country. What they do is if it's a nonprofit, they'll assign chair people to each conference. So now we have to try to sell not 1, but 5. Chances are we might get 1 or 2. But the chairman always likes to choose their own AV company. They don't want to be told, hey, use this company. You made me the chairman. So sometimes it works against us too, right? So that works. So regional conferences, we don't always get, which is too bad, Do you ever feel stressed about show or are you pretty used to them? No. You kidding? All right, so first of all, in the old days when I was going on the shows, I was so stressed about the shows. In fact, even being the owner of the company, I don't know if everyone remembers, but up until a year ago, nobody knew I owned the company. So there's no ego with me. None of our customers knew that I was the owner. They always thought, Audiovisual Services, LLC is some big corporation somewhere, right? And I never told anybody I was the owner. In fact, Mike Hackett at that point was the president and general manager. I was considered the technical manager for the company. So if there was ever a question, they're selling a show, they'd get me on the phone and ask me technical questions because that's my background. Nobody ever knew I was the owner of the business. I didn't care. It was ego. Now, the reason I did that is so I wouldn't have the level of stress. I could go on the show. Nobody's looking at me as the owner. So if there is a mistake, I don't get, my head chopped off. Hey, look, I'm a manager. Let me see what I can do. I'll call the office. I'll try to solve the problem. And it worked out very well. That's how I eliminated a lot of my stress on the shows. Then I stopped going on the shows, right? So my staff's going on the shows. And the stress was I could not sleep. On the very first day of the show, I could not sleep or calm down till I know the show is set up right and it's running. The very beginning of the show is running. Because with these shows, that we do, it's all about the first day. Setting up, being ready to go on time, and the first day. Our clients, a lot of these clients, their job rides on it, right? If they work for a big company and their job is to run this conference and we go in and we F it up on them, we're the assholes, right? And then they look bad. So that's why for us, it's all about the preparation and the setup of the show and being ready early and ready to go. That lowers the customer's stress level. Talk about stress level. They have a lot of stress. So it's comfort level. I teach our salespeople, I teach our technicians, I talk to them all the time, make the client comfortable from day one. Now, what does that mean? When we're driving to the show, stay in touch with them. How you doing? We're going to be there tomorrow at 12 noon. Just want to let you know. Okay, hey, we hit a little bit of traffic. We're going to be here at 1. Just want to let you know. Communication. Communication is key at the beginning. Let them know when to get there. Then we get there. We set it up. And, hey, I'm having a happy Easter. How you doing? Let's see, Santera Beard. Yeah, I had a good Easter, except for my leg. I got to talk about my leg in a few minutes. But anyway, I'm really glad we're talking about the audiovisual tonight because, the shows are really important, obviously, to do these. So, yeah, think about the customer. There might be people on here that have attended these huge conferences, 2,000 people in the room, 2,500. So think about our stress. We set up the projectors. We set up the sound systems, right? The microphones better work, right? The projectors better work. So it's very, very... Santa Real Beer. I get it. All right. Santa Real Beer. Thank you. Communication is key. So one of the things that came from COVID, believe it or not, is, how everyone was doing Zoom meetings and Zoom calls. I now encourage so because we're selling to customers all over the country, all over the world, England, France, Germany, we're selling to customers, clients, Italy, all over the world, across the United States. Their conferences are all over the place. So everything used to be over the phone, right? Or email, over the phone or email. But COVID, we started doing the face-to-face. So now I encourage, and it's been working, my sales staff to continue the face-to-face. When they have pre-conference meetings in our conference room, do a Zoom meeting, have our technicians there, have our show managers there. It's personal. They see us. It's face-to-face. That's, so that's number one with the communication, face-to-face, right? So the comfort level, make the customer feel comfortable. Wow, these guys communicate with me. They're great. They're working with me. So that is key. And that's what I try to teach all of our new staff and even our technicians. Just kind of always remind them, just stay in touch with the client. Even if you're running late to get to the show, just let them know, hey, is it some traffic? We're running late, but we're going to be there on time. We always go a day early anyway. We give ourselves enough time to get there early. It's very, very important, for the shows. So that's the story with that. So, but yeah, you got to communicate with the clients. But like I said, even in that business, we'll lose clients, sometimes, and it's not even our fault, All right, now I was going to talk about, Brian, sometimes you have to fire the customer. You're right. Do you know that there's been customers, now few and far between, because, I like money, where I've had to say to the customer, look, you know what? I'm sorry. I don't think this show is going to work for us. We're going to bow out of doing that show. Now, normally it's a customer that is making massive changes up front. And at the same time, they're unorganized, and they're talking down to us. When we get hired to do a show, we're partnering with them. Yeah, they're paying us, but we're partnering. We want the show to go as well as they do. But when we're treated like the hired help and they're talking condescendingly to us, or what happens very often is this: they'll have somebody in their organization. Oh, we have John over in bookkeeping. He has some audiovisual experience, so we're going to have him kind of run everything. That's a problem for us, and that's when I'll bow out of things, because you're hiring us, the professionals, to run your conference. Let's not have middlemen. Let's not have third parties. You tell us what to do, and we're going to do it. That way, I don't know John. I don't know if John wants to do this to impress them. He's going to badmouth us. Well, hey, these guys are terrible. They're doing this wrong, doing that wrong. We've had that. So this is all based on my experience. You're hiring us. You count on us. We will do the show. You don't need a third person to be there, a consultant or this for audiovisual. You don't need it. We're the guys. We're here for your best interest. We're working for you. I'm very, as I'm talking a lot, so that's why I'm thirsty. So, but yeah, I've told customers, I'm sorry, it's not going to work out, and that's few and far between, But yeah, some customers, Brian, don't show respect. You must know that, yeah. And that's a problem. I got to say, though, it's been a long time since we've had a bad customer. Our customers are great. They're appreciative of us. We're appreciative of them. So what I started doing, I said a year and a half ago, up until then, nobody knew I was the owner. What I started doing a year and a half ago, as COVID started breaking, we started getting conferences. I now go to the conferences as the owner, meet the client. Thank you very much for your business. I really appreciate it. Look forward to a long-term relationship. So now they do meet the owner. They know I'm the owner. So I do that now. I don't go to the whole conference. I'll go once it's the first day. I'll let the first day go by, because, if there's a bad first day, maybe I won't go, right? So I wait for the first day to go by, and then I'll fly down to where it is, meet the customer, meet the staff that we're using on the show, and then I'll come back, Do I sell the furniture, give it away, or trash it? So if the furniture is trash, we trash it. If it's good, I store it in my 35,000 square foot warehouse that I've been using. And my guys, if they want it, I tell them, look, don't sell it. If you need it for your house, you're more than welcome to take it. If you know somebody who's poor or something that needs a bed or whatever, especially children, give it to them. Let me know, and we'll give it to them. But the problem is, if people are leaving things, it's usually trash. In the rental houses, flip houses is a different story. I buy flip houses at the auctions. You go in there, everything's beautiful. I got a beautiful Keurig coffee maker a couple weeks ago, one of my flip houses that I needed for our new office. So, question: when you have to clear out an apartment, like in one of your last videos. Oh, okay. Do you sell the furniture? Yes. So that's what it is. So I read the second part of the question first. So I have sold furniture before because we've gotten some very expensive furniture, some of the flip houses, and I'll use that money as money towards cleaning cleaning the house. So I've done that. But for the most part, it's junk, or if it's good, like I said, my guys will buy it. But I do store it. So right now I have a warehouse full of furniture that I'd like to almost open a consignment store at some point, another business, right? But I thought about it. If I had a place where I could just stick somebody, one of my office people, and they could answer the phones there, they can do office work there, and sell the furniture and other stuff, lamps, furniture, air conditioners, toys. I mean, we get a little of everything, right? So, yeah, spray everything saved. I know. You never know. That's one of the things. Like I said, somebody lived like that. There's really not much to save or salvage, you know? Landlord paid utilities versus tenant paid utilities. Well, everybody knows, I don't hide the fact, I hate paying utilities for the tenants. Why? Well, so first of all, the worst one I hate paying is the heat. Why? Because they keep the heat up high and they have the windows open in the winter, right? So that's the worst one. Electricity, right? They keep the lights on. They'll use electric heaters. So why am I going to pay their electric? So I hate paying the utilities. I really prefer the tenant to pay the utilities. Now, I buy a lot of properties where the utilities are all combined. So when I buy the property, I have to pay the utilities. But I slowly divide them up and separate them so the tenants do get the utilities eventually. I only have a couple of properties now where I'm paying. I got one where I'm paying the oil heat, which really aggravates me because the oil company lets it run out. I had that TikTok last week. So I have that one that has 5 units and has oil heat, as oil burner. We're running gas to that property, and we're going to put in the 5 gas meters. They'll all get the separate gas meters. So that's going to be great. They already pay their separate electric, but the heat I'm paying, which, if any utility I have to pay, the heat is better than electricity, okay? Because the heat, you can limit it, right? The electricity, they can do what they want with it. So that's the issue with that. Burn builders, what is my favorite business? Well, I got to tell you something. My favorite business is probably the audiovisual business because, A, it was my first business, and it's the least stressful business right now. Now, I do own a lot of real estate, which is bigger business now than the audiovisual business because I own 60 buildings with 380 units, so that's a lot. So it's a lot to manage, it's a lot to handle. It's not that stressful now because of Andrew and his staff do a great job managing the properties, so that's why I've been able to expand more because I have great staff. But my favorite business, I would say, is probably the audiovisual business. It's fun, I mean, even look, I mean, it's cool. I was able to buy a nice little Shure microphone for my TikToks. So I'm a techie guy. I like the toys. I bought a really cool podcast mixing board. I didn't need this really cool podcast mixing board, but I figured, you know what? I'm doing podcasts now, so it's all audio-visual. And so it's just funny. So that's why I like that business. I can buy the cool, fun electronic toys and play with them. In fact, so I have a drone, right? So I have a really nice drone. Well, it's an older one. It's a DJI Phantom 3 Professional, so it's an older drone, but it still works great. And the reason I'm talking about that is I use the drone for 2 different things. I use it for my properties when we have to inspect roofs, inspect the building itself. The drone comes in handy. It's wonderful. In fact, I'll put some video on TikTok. It's a great tool for that, right? But also my drone, the controller has an HDMI output. So I can actually, which we have done, I've done outdoor events with big screens where we'll have the drone flying up ahead and I can have the video up on the big screens. So that's the audiovisual part of me. So I like the techie. I like the toys. I like impressing people with the toys because it's fun. So that's my favorite business. Hey, I'm Calpia Jack's friend. How you doing? What's up? What's going on? And are there rental units in my office? So not in my office that we're in now. It's just one building, so we occupy that. I do own the house next door, which we rent out. Up the street, where my original office was, right up the street from us, 2 buildings up, there's 5 units in there, and we occupied one of those units, which my audiovisual sales staff is going back to that unit probably next week because we outgrew our new office space already. So we'll be going back there, and that has rental units in there. So thoughts on doing commercial industrial real estate instead of residential. So I have some friends, that's all they do, is commercial real estate. They won't go near residential because they feel like, what, you're dealing with the tenants, the bullshit of the tenants, people moving out, the fighting, commercial, so commercial rentals are long-term, right? You rent it 5 years, 10 years, 20 years. So that's the advantage to commercial real estate. Also, commercial real estate is triple net normally. So the tenant pays everything, the taxes, the insurance, everything. You just get a check for the rent every month. A negative to commercial real estate. 12 years ago, in 2008, when they had the banking crisis, right? All these businesses went out of business. Now you get an empty space. COVID hit, right? Businesses go out of business. Now you have an empty space. Commercial real estate is harder to rent than residential. So you will go longer with an empty space before you rent it for the long term. So for me, I do own some commercial property. So out of my 380 units, I would say 25 of them are commercial. And mine are unique. I like small commercial. So I would hate to have a huge, 10,000 square foot space, that was a store that went out of business. That's going to be tougher to rent. All my spaces are all small, 800,000 square foot, 1,200 square feet. They're nice because it can be a salon, a beauty salon, a nail salon, right? A barber shop, a card shop. They can be small, little, affordable spaces for an entrepreneur, for a new business person. So I prefer to rent the small commercial and the residential. But that's the niche that I get into. It's all about personal preference at that point. Yeah, so Brian, So yes, Brian will end up being in a different building than Andrew when he moves Chicken Bucket. Brian will be up the street with Mark and Joe. So and then the technicians, Ian and Rick, they're all going to go up the street in their old office. And they're going to be in two different buildings. Hey, Bill 3300, happy Easter to you too. Happy Easter. Good to talk to you, Bill, and see you on TikTok. So happy Easter to your family. Hope everything's going well. Largest commercial is 3,500 square feet. So that's exactly right. 3,500 square feet is easy to rent. It's very easy to rent, and that's what I would say. But if you had a 10,000 square foot space, obviously that's very specific to certain size business. But 3,500 square feet is reasonable. I just rented a 1,500 square foot building, and I have our space. And, the largest I have, I think, is, the largest commercial I have is 2,500 square feet. Yeah, 2,500 square feet. Like I said, I have a lot of 1,500. Actually, I got one that's 1,800 that's rented. So, but yeah, so for me, and by the way, I love mixed-use properties. I just looked at one where it's 30 residential units, but there's also 10 storefronts with it. So it's 10 storefronts on the first floor, and then there's 30 residential units above it. To me, that's a great piece of property. That's a great piece of property. It's a nice mixed-use property. I love those. That's why my 10-unit I have down in Pawtucket Village is great. In Pawtucket, I got a 13-unit. 11 of them are residential, 2 little commercial units downstairs. That's fine with me. So that's what I like. I like having the variety, of places. $3.5 million for that one. Which one? Oh, the one I just looked at? So the one I just looked at, they're asking, they're asking 3.9 million for it, which is a little too much for the property. But we'll see what happens. We'll see I'm always looking. There's not a lot out there, so I don't want to buy something just because, it's out there, I'm going to buy it. I really have to look at I have to be disciplined. So if you're going to be an investor buying property, you got to be disciplined. It has to be able to cash flow and make you money, and you have to count on some of the spaces being empty. So I am, you were close. You were very close. So the average price usually is $100,000 per unit. The problem with this particular building, even though it's 30 units, they're all small one-bedroom units. I don't particularly like that part of the deal because now you have all one-bedroom units. Chances are you can have a transient rental community in one-bedroom units because they're small. They meet a boyfriend or girlfriend, want a bigger place, move on. So I find 2-bedroom units for me have been the longest term rentals. So that's why that one, Brian, that's why that one's a little difficult for me. So, by the way, Brian, I know you said you have a shop in Lincoln. Do you live in Lincoln? Just curious. So I do. I've done it for 15 years. I provide the sound, the staging, and the video for the Lincoln High School graduation every year. great clients, great clients. First of all, Lincoln's a great town in Rhode Island, by the way. Okay, yeah, Lincoln is a great city. So, and I'm not saying that because Twin River is there, though I go to Twin River, but no, I'm saying it because, like I said, Audiovisual Services, my company, has provided the graduation sound and video, for 15 years at least. So, I don't know who we deal with, because I used to deal with the principal who's not there anymore. He was there a couple of years ago. I think he moved up, but so that's why I don't know who Brian actually. So Brian actually handles the graduations for me. That's part of Brian's responsibility in the office. He's our liaison with all the graduations. This year we have so many. We have so many graduations this year. Every year it seems like 2 or 3 new towns in Rhode Island come to us and ask us to do their graduation, which is a wonderful thing. When I built my business, Audiovisual Services, I was marketing it as a national business, and we built up a great national clientele. And Rhode Island, though we have a lot of customers in Rhode Island, we definitely we could be a lot busier locally than we are. So that's the next thing we want to do. We want to advertise, and that's one of the reasons why I bought the Jumbotrons. Because those are going to be local rentals, local to New England. But then obviously they're such a specialty item that somebody far away may rent them from us too, right? So, but yeah, we're trying to build a local business, and that's why I'm thrilled about the graduations all coming to us, these cities and towns coming to us. You may know, listen, if you got places coming up for sale in East Providence, that's great. I like East Providence. East Providence is a great city to invest in, by the way. I've done very well in East Providence, and I like East Providence as a place to invest in. It's always done. I've done well. People like living in East Providence because it's convenient. It's right off of 195. It's convenient to get to. Anywhere in East Providence really is convenient to get to. Oh, you have a new facilities director now? Yeah, so that's what happened. We did deal with the facilities director. We also dealt with the principal. McNamara, Mr. McNamara was the principal for many years, and I don't think he's there now. But we dealt with him for many years in Lincoln. I just happen to remember. So here's what's funny about that. I always end up personally doing the Lincoln High School graduation because it always falls in June when we are really busy. June's a peak month for us for audiovisual conferences. So the guys are all over the country scattered. So I end up doing the local graduations. That way I don't have to travel, and I'll go and I'll mix the sound and the video for the graduations. And I like doing it. It keeps me involved. That's why I still do the Special Olympics event. It keeps me involved. I like doing the stuff. Jeff, are you my dad? So I don't know. I don't know. I mean, listen, I had a lot of fun when I was young, but I don't know. Depends on how old you are, I guess. Oh, that's funny. But so anyway, yeah. So that's pretty much the audio visual. So we used to do the stage for URI, University of Rhode Island. We've done it for 20 years. It's a bid. It goes out to 3 year. It's a 3-year bid contract normally. I don't even know what it was this year because we chose not to bid on it. So I had to respect my employees' wishes on this one because it's not always about the money, right? You got to keep your employees happy. So when I first started doing the URI graduation 20 years ago, it was funny because it was in 2000. What happened was I owed the state of Rhode Island some tax money, right? So the state of Rhode Island put this out to bid. I was like, you know what? I'll bid on the URI graduation. I'll bid cheap because whatever I make, I can pay the state my tax off, and that's exactly what I did. And we kept doing the graduation, and we won it year after year. It was 3-year contracts. And then when COVID hit, they didn't have it 1 year. Last year was the 3rd year of our contract. We did the services last year. We set up the staging for the graduation. The problem is when we say set up the staging, they use so much staging that we have to physically build it. So I have to pull all my carpenters out of my flip houses or out of my rental properties that didn't working. And they literally work at URI for over a week building all these stages. So yeah, I'm making money on the stage, but I'm losing money on the other end. I learned over the years that actually I was probably making half of what I really should have been making. Plus, the carpenters didn't like doing it. It's a ride down there every day. They had to work. There was 10-hour days. And so they didn't want to do it. So I was like, you know what? This year, let's not bid. Let's let it go. We're busy. We're so busy now with the houses. So we didn't bid on it this year, but we did do it for many years. So that's yeah. I might have some seeds out there. You're right. You're right. You know, I'm sure we all went through it when we were young, right? You bite your nails. Oh, I hope nothing happened last night, right? So, well, I didn't fire URI. I just decided that, so here's the problem with a lot of the public bids, Brian. So first of all, I'll tell you how I got it. I will tell you how I won that bid that year. I went back to the year before because it's public record. I did a public records request and I saw how much they paid the year before. This was 20 years ago, so I think it was like $13,000. Okay, so I said, okay, let's bid $12,800. Come down to it. So that's how we won it the first year. Then every year after that, we went up a little bit, but it is public bid, so I knew what the other companies were bidding year after year, so I could really maintain the price where I could keep doing it. But like I said, after all was said and done, I think last year was $18,000, but it cost me $10,000 to do it in labor, materials, and time. So now, okay, Jeff, so, you're making $8,000, but no, now you have to look. How much did I lose by pulling everybody out of my houses for 2 weeks? In that time, I had to still had to pay the mortgage, the taxes, the interest, everything on those houses, and they weren't getting finished. So you have to look at it from both sides, and the guys didn't want to do it this year, and I was like, you know what? The audiovisual business is so busy right now. We're back in business. The real estate business is a lot busier now, too. When I used to do the stage URI, I only had maybe 30 buildings, right, with minor maintenance. Now we have 60 buildings. We're renovating many apartments. So it's a different, we're all in a different situation now, So that's what happened with that. But it was great clout too. Hey, we did the URI graduation. We did Special Olympics State Summer Games down at URI, which has always been fun. But so that's what happened with that. So now I have all this whole state. The state is homemade built. So I own 40 panels, 4x8 panels of professional staging that we use for concerts and events. It's professional aluminum staging that you use for conferences. But at URI, they use 100 panels. So that we built they use 110 panels. We built 70 homemade 3/4 inch plywood 2x4 panels, right? So I'm sitting on these 70 panels now because I'm not doing the graduation anymore, right? So we just started using them. We're using them for building different projects, sheds, because I like to build storage sheds for the tenants if they don't have any storage. So we use them. So the bid info is online. The state of Rhode Island purchasing website, you have to register for it. So we would register for it, okay? And after they win a bid, they would list the winner of the bid, how much the bid was for, because it's public record. And that's how we used to see the bid info, and that's how we won the bid that year. And every year, whatever we're bidding on, we could see what it sold for last year. Now, we're taking a chance that they didn't lower their price this year, but most people don't. So that's how we won that, because what's happening now is, even in the waste business, right? I bid on public things with the waste business, so I get the staff to bid. So again, you got to look at what people paid last year. So that's how we handle the bidding situation. Public bids are tough, they're very tough because it's a nickel and dimey thing. It's an auction. Public bid's an auction. So that's the story with that. So we didn't do it this year, which is okay, or we're not doing it this year. It's in May, but we chose not to do it this year. Though we like working there, we like the staff there, the grounds people, the maintenance people, the physical plant people. Everyone's been great to deal with over the years. It's just for us, the process is just such a big project. So that's the thing there. And we have so many job openings right now. That's the other problem too. The chicken bucket, the stage was huge. So if anyone's familiar with the University of Rhode Island, I know it's local, but they have a quad like many big college campuses. And on that quad, they would build a 60 by 50 stage, physically build it. But the ground slopes, you have to level it. And that has to have a railing. We have to paint it a certain color gray. So then next to that, we build a band stage, 20 by 40 band stage. And then there are 2 other locations on the college campus. We have to build 2 other stages. So that's the story with that. So listen, it's one of those things where it's somebody else's chance to do it now. It's somebody else, You're registered on it for your type of business, but can't find the old bids. Tough city. Yeah, the site sucks. They're always changing the site, right? So I haven't been on it myself in a while. I don't know if it's BidNet or whatever. I haven't been on it in a while. But you know what I'll do? Mike in my office knows that site inside and out. He's the one who found the bids. Tomorrow, when I will ask Mike, and I'll actually, my next live, I'll go on and do a TikTok about it. But yes, the site is terrible to navigate because they separate the city bids and the quasi-public bids. So you have to like keep searching different areas. And you think they'd make it easy, but they don't. You know what I'm saying? So I agree with you. It's a very difficult site to navigate. So you're not doing anything wrong. Trust me. I remember the site, and I remember them changing it all the time. And it was a pain in the neck. And you wonder if they do it on purpose. Sometimes your bids are written because they want specific companies to win the bid. So they'll put specific rules in there that only certain companies can follow. It's not right. It's unethical, but they do it. Would I ever consider developing industrial properties in small warehouses? Absolutely. So it's interesting because I bought an industrial property at the auction a couple of years ago. It's the one I just sold. We were using the parking lot for Butler Waste. I never did anything with the inside of the building. It was a 3-story building, 26 square foot industrial building. And I thought about making that into warehouse space or storage space. The problem is that it was 3 floors, but how do you get to the second floor, third floor? I'd have to install an elevator. It would get expensive. So renovating it was too expensive. So I sold that one. I flipped that one. But yeah, I think that there's definitely a lot of money in converting an old mill building to storage space or to obviously apartments or condos. But yeah, I did consider converting that one to housing. Obviously, a lot of people convert mills to housing, even around here, West Warwick, Cranston. And why not? If you're repurposing the building into housing, why not? The only one I'm doing is, of course, I'm doing the nursing home. I'm converting that to the apartments. That's a big project for me, and that's not even in my wheelhouse, right? Because I buy properties, fix them up. They're existing, and I fix them up and make them nicer. This one here, I'm completely transforming a building from something that it is to something that's not. So it's a big project for me. Once that's done, I'll have a better understanding of, is this something I want to do again? Right now, I would say no. Right now, this is going to be my one time I do this particular project. They changed it again last month. Yes, the website. Yeah, no, I know. So I gotta be honest, I haven't probably been on it myself in 4 or 5 months. I went on it to teach the waste guys how to search for dumpster contracts, dumpster bids for the state, right? Garbage bids. So, but yeah, I haven't been on it either. Well, yeah, so Gilbane and Lynch. Well, that's a good point. So what happens is that, well, first of all, they're huge companies. They have the trucks, they have the manpower, they have the materials. So think about it when they write a bid. So I'll give you an example, the waste business, right? So I may want to bid on one of the city contracts, right, at some point, right? So what they'll do is in the city contract, they'll write, okay, you must have 26 brand new trucks. Well, first of all, how many companies can buy 26 $200,000 garbage trucks, right? Well, Waste Management, Waste Connect, the big national companies can, right? That's how they win the bids. The waste bids anyway, I've seen it. That's how they win because they write the bid so specific as the little guy like me has no chance. Yeah, a lot of conversion into self-storage. I went by one yesterday in West Warwick that they're converting into a self-storage. I can't believe how much self-storage there is out there. How many people need storage? How many people rent storage spaces, put their stuff in it, pay the monthly fee, and never go there just to save the stuff? It's like, you know what? $100 a month, $100, $1,200 a year, 3 years, $3,600. What's the stuff worth in there? So that's the question you have to ask yourself. But yeah, I see a lot of conversions myself to a self-storage. We haven't bid state waste, but we are looking to bid state waste. There hasn't been one yet, but we are looking. If state waste went out, stay around at a bid for waste, yes, we would bid on that. Absolutely. We're big enough now. We can handle it. In the beginning, we weren't big enough to do that. So I don't own any mini storage units. Though I think it's a great investment. So what I've done is this, okay? My properties, I always try to build storage units for the tenants. That way they have a little storage unit in the building. They put their own lock on it. In some cases, there was no place in the building, so we've built outside sheds. I got one that we built last summer. It actually is a big, huge shed with 6 doors, 1 door, 6 rooms, 1 door for each tenant. So that's what I do for them. We have garages at all my properties. If a tenant doesn't want to rent the garage, then we rent them out to outside people, usually $100, $125 a month per garage, which is very inexpensive, but it keeps the garage rented. And hey, it's cash flow, right? It helps pay some bills. So that's what we do there. Oh, yeah, so an average is $200 a month for an average 8x10 storage. So, you know what? There is great money in it, you know. I think usually people that are in the storage business continue to grow in the storage business. It's just something that I have never done, but I would. The building was not suited for it. So the one I had, the factory, so I ended up selling it. But yeah, if I had the opportunity to buy the right type of building that could be storage, that makes sense. Well, you're absolutely right, Mr. X-Man. I can't disagree with you more. I can't, I can't disagree with you because you're right. You're paying to store your stuff, you know. So I used to have a storage unit when I first started my business. I lived at my house in Warwick, and we had my office in my living room. There was 4 of us in the living room. It was a waterfront property, so we had a nice view during the day. But my equipment was up the street. I rented a storage unit up the street. And I forget what I paid at that time, maybe $150 a month. But it was worth it because every time we had a show, we'd go up there, get the equipment out, and go to the show. So that's it was worth it. So, some people rent storage units. It's all different reasons, right? But it's the ones that just store their stuff in there forever, never go back. Oh, you're in upstate New York. I'm 5 hours from you. Wow. 5 hours. Okay. That's a distance. That's so when I owned my nightclub in Providence, we had a couple of people, college students that were from upstate New York. So they wanted to invest in a nightclub up in Ithaca. So I invested with them in that club. I was involved with it for about a year. And then I sold my shares out only because they were so far away. I was never going to go up there. I want to invest in something I can have fun with, you know what I'm saying? And touch it and feel it. But anyway, so that was upstate New York. I went there once. Syracuse. So my brother-in-law went to Syracuse University. He got his PhD there. He teaches now at University of New Orleans. But yeah, so you're in Syracuse. Okay. Oh, the home of National Grid, Syracuse. Dude, that's their main office. The United States, Syracuse. I just know that from writing letters to them and calling them. So anyway, so that's the story with that. So now everybody knows that I have Rocky Mountain spotted fever. I was diagnosed with that last Monday. So I've been taking my medication for that, the antibiotic. I've been taking that since Monday. But the other problem I have is I've had this leg and knee problem for about a month. It started literally a month ago. In fact, that was the reason I went to Florida, was because I thought maybe the warm weather would help me, but I still have the leg and knee problem. So tomorrow I got to go see an orthopedic specialist to look at why I continue to have this problem, because this is a weird problem. During the day it hurts. Like right now, it's uncomfortable. I'm sitting here talking to you folks, it's uncomfortable. As soon as I lay down tonight, it becomes extremely painful and I cannot sleep. So for the last 3 weeks, no, it's not Lyme disease. It's Rocky Mountain spotted fever. It's different than Lyme disease if you look it up. It's worse than Lyme disease, but for the fact it's cured quicker than Lyme disease. So once you get the antibiotic, you can get over it. Lyme disease takes forever to cure. So that's the good news. But yeah, knee and back pain is the worst pain. And I cannot sleep. So everyone laughs at me because what I do now, so I have a heating pad, I have an ice pack, and I have one of those massagers that I bought, the back massager thing that works, automatic one that I bought on Amazon. So through the course of the night, and by the way, none of them work. Through the course of the night, I'll put the heating pad on for a while. Then I'll put the massager on for a while. See, because everyone tells me the problem starts at my back and it's working the way down to my leg, right? It goes all the way to my foot. And then, so I have something wrong with my back. I have a disc or something in my back that is pinching a nerve. That's what I'm figuring out now at this point. So I'm dealing with the Rocky Mountain spotted fever, which is going to be going in a few weeks, and I'm dealing with this back and leg pain. In fact, some days it's so distracting that I really don't even want to do anything. That's why sometimes you won't see TikToks. It's not because I don't want to. I can't. I'm so distracted and in pain, So at night, I don't sleep at all. I literally do not sleep. Like tonight, 11 o'clock, what happens is I'll say to my wife, all right, let's go to bed. I'll lay down. 12 o'clock, I end up moving downstairs to the couch because I don't want to wake her up, moving around and everything, all the crap. And you know what? I've been watching old episodes of Columbo, Rockford Files, Monk. I love Monk. So that's what I do all night long. I'm on the TV, flipping channels, watching movies, and just, herniated disc is what I think it is, And so that's the story with that. So I'm dealing with those two problems. I'm dealing with my back and leg, which is really, it is the worst. I mean, when I tell you I'm not sleeping, so what's happening is the only way I sleep is, like today, I happened to sit on the couch after dinner and I fell asleep for about a half hour on the couch. That's how I get my sleep right now. Or I get so exhausted that I just conk out. But then I wake up and I'm in the pain again, So that's been a problem. That's been a real distraction. I'm just lucky that in my case now I have people that can run the business, run things for me, because if I didn't have those, right, I don't know what I would do right now. I'd be in trouble. That's why being self-employed sometimes can be very difficult for people if they don't have support staff to help them out, So that's the story with that. But the pain is bad, and so I want to remind everybody, if you miss my live, or if you only see part of it, I do post it on my YouTube channel, Jeff Never Had Job Security. So if you're, if you really want to watch it again, you really missed me, and you want to watch it again, you can go on there and look at my YouTube channel, Did you test your sugar after your desserts today? So I didn't have any desserts today, to be honest with you, Brian. I'm good about that. I don't eat a lot of sweets or desserts. I just don't. It's not in me. I will tell you, the last week, this Rocky Mountain spotted fever has affected my appetite. I'll tell you, I don't want to eat. It's weird. I'll sit down at the table. I'll say, well, like last night, we picked up Chinese food at one of my favorite places, House of Wu in West Warwick. So we picked up some Chinese food. So I got myself some soup and egg foo young. I was going to split with my wife. I ate the soup, half the soup. I didn't even eat those, and I was full, and that was it. So that's it, So that I'm hoping that my appetite comes back, even though I'm losing weight, And then of course, when you lose weight, I got this thing going on, the turkey thing, So that's the story. That's the story with that. So who's running the way? So Chicken Bucket. What happened was we brought this. All right. So Nicole used to work. Believe it or not, she was in the waste business for 9 years for another business. She was referred to me by one of our drivers who knew her from another business, and we hired her to come in. So she came in and she took over Butler Waste, and Brian's been transitioning everything to her, helping her out. And then we hired her an assistant, Yohani, who started last week, right? Yeah. And so they're running Butler Waste. It's Nicole and Yohani are running Butler Waste, and they're doing a great job. So now that they're both trained, this will be a nice transition when they move to the new building. And Brian's going back to do his audiovisual and in-house accounts. So Brian will sell audiovisual nationwide, plus he handles all the local house accounts, the graduations and stuff. Do you have ever done business in Maine? Well, the only business I did in Maine, so I'll tell you the story with Maine. So why can't I think of it? Where the traps live, where the traps Stowe. Oh, no, for Maine. So in Maine, yes. What's the waterfront town in Maine? We have a hotel that we do a lot of events at. It's a small hotel. It'll come to me. And Bowdoin College, by the way, we installed this sound system on their track. Bowdoin College is in Maine. So this is all coming back to my memory now. You're asking me questions. I have to literally look at my memory. So there was a hotel. I keep saying Boothbay Harbor. That's only because I love going to Boothbay Harbor, but it wasn't Boothbay Harbor that we did business in. It was Bowdoin College, and it was also in Bar Harbor, and we did Now Old Orchard Beach I love going to, by the way. I used to go there with my friends every single year. We went to Old Orchard Beach. And like I said, and also I've taken my family, like I said, to Booth Bay Harbor, which we love. Yeah, Portland, that's exactly right. So in Portland, Maine, there's a couple hotels there that we do a lot of, they're nice small boutique hotels. So we have an investment company, a private investment company that meets with their investors around the country. So that one of the places they have an investment conference every 6 months is in Portland, Maine. And we go up there and we set up the audiovisual when we run the event in Portland. Of course, Maine's a great place to go to. Sunday River. Booth Bay Harbor. You can't beat Old Orchard Beach. Now, Old Orchard Beach, I used to rent sound systems to a couple of nightclubs in Old Orchard Beach. It's seasonal, obviously, but yeah. So we used to go up there with the sound systems, drop off the sound systems. In fact, that's why I was starting to talk about Vermont. When I first started my business, I had a contract with an agent, a talent agent, who sold musicians to hotels and conference centers around the East Coast. So I used to have a 24-foot box truck full of sound equipment. And what we would do is we would go to Old Orchard Beach, set up a sound system in Old Orchard Beach. We would then leave there. We'd drive from Old Orchard Beach. We would go all the way across to Stowe, Vermont. There was a in fact, it burned down now, but there used to be a venue in Stowe, Vermont, where we'd set up sound systems in Stowe, Vermont. We would then leave there. We would go to Lebanon, New Hampshire, set up a sound system in Lebanon, New Hampshire, and we'd work our way back. Providence, Rhode Island. Albany. In Albany, New York, there was a Marriott in Providence, Marriott, because there was a lot of Marriott hotels they had a contract at. And that's what I used to do. I would drive from one to the other, spend a week, usually one a day, sometimes two a day, set them up. The bands would play there for 2 weeks. Then after that, we'd go back, drive all around, pick them all up again. And then we'd move them to different places because the bands had specific equipment. So that's the limited amount of stuff I've done in Maine and what we do in Maine as far as meetings and conferences in Maine. And of course, I like going to the outlets shopping. So but yeah, so that was my limited. Hey Jeff, we're working at Broad Street. Oh, are you? Broad Street M. Jazz Gut. Where'd you go? I don't know who that is. Working at Broad Street. Give me a bigger hint. Give me a bigger hint. My wife and I love doing this, and we did it with our kids a couple of years ago, and we haven't done it again, is driving up Route 1 all the way up to Maine. Don't even get on the highway. Don't get on 95, 90, 93. We just take Route 1 from Massachusetts and go all the way up the coast and stop in all the little towns and make a 3-day trip of it. And we love it. We love it. Well, the 39 unit, we're making out very well with the 39 unit. The demo is all done. The first floor is almost rented. And last week we got some of our materials list, so we're ordering the materials to fix the deck. Once the deck is fixed and we get it rented, now we're going to do the outside of the building, which we have some really nice plans for the outside of the building. But yeah, that's right on schedule. Oh, you like the tour video? Oh, that's cool. I'm glad you like the tour video. So I'm going to start doing more videos using even the drone, doing tours of my buildings too. Show the buildings. I learned a cool trick with my drone yesterday because, drones don't have sound. You probably realize that, right? Because if I had a microphone it's 200 feet in the air and all you hear is propellers. So I want to have a microphone down on the ground. So I'm shooting video. I can describe the video, narrate the video. If I'm doing an inspection of a building, a roof, I can talk about what we're looking at. So I figured out yesterday how to do it, which is really, really cool. Really cool. I'm very happy about that. So now I can, which I tried this morning, because it's important that I can describe what we're looking at, because sometimes I'm sending the video to somebody else. I'm sending it to a roof contractor. Hey, here's what we found in the roof, blah, blah, blah. So I figured out how to do it now where I'm down on the ground and I can narrate while I'm shooting the video. So anyway, where was that eviction? That was in Cranston. That was in the Auburn section of Cranston. The video. So the place is already cleaned out. So we don't waste any time there. As soon as we get access to the apartment, we immediately clean it out, start cleaning up, seeing if it needs renovations, what we can do to it to get it re-rented as quick as possible. I try to renovate all of them. But the problem is that when you have, 5, 6 tenants move out at a time, which we haven't lately, but if you do, what do? Leave the apartments empty? No, I'd rather rent the apartment again and we'll get to it again another time. So that's how we do that. But the guy left it a mess. I talk about this before because, when I put TikTok videos up, and especially on that one, if you look at the video, the comments, I'm mean. I kicked him out. I'm a jerk, all this crap. But you got to look at the history. This particular guy, we buy a building in December. He says, I'm not paying you. I'm not paying you rent. I don't want to. Now, his rent was only like $700 a month. It was ridiculously low anyway. So he just doesn't pay. So we say, okay, apply for rent relief. Figuring, okay, maybe he doesn't have the money, right? So he does. He applies for rent relief. But then he goes and he calls them up and fraudulently tries to change the address to him for the check. So they figured it out because we have so many rent relief cuts. They've gotten better at their job, rent relief. They've gotten very good at their job. And we have the portal where we can log in, and we saw the changes and contact them. So they canceled his rent relief, and we got the eviction, and we kicked him out. So he deserves what he got. But I, again, feel bad when they have kids. What do you do? They're not my kids, but they're not setting an example for the kids. Yes, I do use it. Very good point. So, Brian, in all of our units, we buy the same paint for every single unit. That way, when we send the painter over, they go over to the unit. He knows to bring, it's called taupe tees, the color that we use. Bring the taupe tees, bring the white trim paint, bring the primer, bring the ceiling paint. So they know what to bring with them, the 4 different paints to bring with them, because it's the same every single time. So, yes, we do. It makes it easier. It makes it simpler. Consistent. It's a great color. So yeah, see, like my knee is throbbing right now, this stupid knee. So the furthest, I don't own property far away like Florida, but last week when I was in Florida, I did pick out a couple of properties that I contacted the agents about, that I'm seriously thinking about. I would own property far away. I'm not opposed to it. In fact, we want to own some property in New Hampshire or in Maine. And of course, by the way, speaking of Maine, one of my best friends, lives in Calais, Maine, which is way, way up near Canada. He grew up in Cranston here, and he's a Microsoft certified software technician, and he started a computer business, software business that he runs. He bought an A-frame on a lake in Maine. We thought for a season 10 years ago, and he's still up there. So his name's Paul. So Paul moved up there, and he bought some other real estate up there, and he pretty much runs his business from up in Maine. He does come to Rhode Island to visit every once in a while, but he is literally a 7-hour ride from here. 7 hours to get to his house. So I forgot about that when you mentioned Maine. So he's a really, really good guy. He's helped me out a lot, taught me a lot about, because he built servers, network servers and web servers and stuff. And so he taught me a lot about computers way back when I started my business, at my house, actually. So we're talking back in 1995 when he and I met. And he came to my house, and we used to pull all-nighters and set up the routers and the servers. And so, yeah, he's up in Maine right now. He loves it up there. In fact, he has 2 kids now, and so it's too bad because he and I. It's too bad he's up there because he and I staying out together all the time, But he loves it, But he loves it up there. So, yeah, the guy that lived in that apartment, I think, was there for 2 years, believe it or not. So, yeah, with all that stuff, you would think it's longer than that. The problem is these people. We just had this problem in West Warwick. I'll use the guy, for instance, because that was a guy that was living there, right? He has his girlfriend move in, so she moves in with a bunch of crap, right? Then he might have somebody else move in. They move in, but now they move out. They leave their crap, and he doesn't get rid of their crap. So that's how there's a lot of crap. We found out about this boyfriend living in the apartment in West Warwick. Oh, I was talking about that earlier, and I got sidetracked. So West Warwick, I told you, I offered him the jobs. They hung up on me. So the thing is the boyfriend is a record a mile long. Now, we didn't do anything wrong. She let this guy move in. That's where it becomes difficult for landlords. But I just don't say, okay, yeah, all right, he can move in. No, we did a background check. He would never pass our background check. He has to get the hell out or you have to move out. So that's what happened. We're evicting her. So, because he would never have passed the background check. And that's why when she signed the lease, they lie, okay? And that's a problem for us. The girl came in, she signed the lease for her and her daughter to live in the apartment. Next thing you know, you got the boyfriend with a record of mile long living there. That's a problem. And then we have to go through the eviction process. Yeah, antique white trim is a great, great color. Real great color. We use bear paint. We get it through Home Depot. I get such a deal on the quantity, I buy 10 5-gallon buckets at a time of everything. And that's normally how I do it. In fact, and then they deliver it to the office. Trying to figure out if it would be feasible. What's the question there, Funky? Did I miss something? You own property. So it is feasible. So owning property far away is feasible. But here's the only way I would do it. Even here locally in Rhode Island, I own that vacation rental down in Narragansett. I hired another company in Narragansett to manage the property. It's 45 minutes away. Now, if it needs a repair, I will send somebody to do the repair. But they're managing the day-to-day operations, the rental of the property. So in Florida, if I bought a property, A, it has to be a multifamily, and B, I would hire a management company to manage it down there for me and then just send me the check every month. Take out your fees. That's the only. So now, knowing that, when I buy the piece of property, I have to figure out the extra expenses that I'm going to have hiring an outside company to manage it. So then I have to decide, okay, is it worth it buying that property? But yeah, why not? You can buy, if you have a good, trustworthy outside company and you can get a good deal on a property, I know that I would buy it in a second. Why not? The guy with the dog in the news has not moved yet. They're under eviction. Well, actually, so here's what the story with them is, right? Yesterday was the 16th. So they get their 5-day demand because they didn't pay their rent this month. So that means now in 5 days, if they don't pay us by the 21st, I can then start the eviction and do the non-payment rent. And that's probably what will happen to them. Because we did already terminate their lease, letting them know they have to be out by the 1st of the month. But this is a second way of getting them out. And sometimes this way is quicker when they don't pay their rent. So what I do, Ballard, is when we know they're moving out, when they've given us notice to move out, we'll go in there and we'll do an inspection to see what the apartment needs, because we'll see if the apartment just needs a cleanup and we can re-rent it, turn it off, fine. If it needs some repairs, then we're not going to rent it because we know we need some repairs. So whenever we know they're moving out, we do a pre-inspection. Sometimes the tenant moves out and doesn't tell us, well then they take away the opportunity of doing an inspection. But whenever they do that, they usually leave the place a shithole and leave stuff there anyway. So we know we have to do it. So my lawyer, who's been my lawyer for 27 years, he handles all my evictions for me. I'm not allowed to do evictions. So here's what happens. When you own them in Rhode Island, if you have an LLC or a corporation, I have an LLC corporation. I'm not allowed to represent myself in court. I have to, by law, hire an attorney to represent me in Rhode Island. So for business, if the property was in my name, if it was just Jeff Butler property, then I can go to court and I can even represent myself or hire a lawyer. But in this case, everything I own is in an LLC, and Steve handles all my evictions. So that's how that works. The evictions go pretty smooth. In this particular case, so this guy here refused to move. The girlfriend called our office staff, called our girls all kinds of names, called Andrew all kinds of names. So we're terrible. And so we'll come make a good faith payment. Show us. Well, I don't have any money. Why not? COVID. So she kept saying COVID. COVID was the answer for everything. COVID's gone, So the state does make the laws, and the state is run by attorneys, so they're probably the ones that made that law that you have to use an attorney for your evictions. I don't mind. I mean, Steve's been great to me over the years. I mean, as I've grown, he's seen me grow. He's seen because he handles every single purchase he handles and every single sale he handles. Steve's involved with every single aspect of my businesses. The waste business, so I'm keeping him really busy. Sometimes I feel like I'm taking up too much of his time. But my lawyer does all my evictions for me, and he's excellent. No, my house is not. So my house is the only thing I own that's not an LLC. My house is in my name with my wife. That's it. But everything else is in LLC. So yeah, if I had to go to court to evict one of my kids, then yes, I could represent myself because it's not an LLC. But anyway, my leg pain is terrible right now. I'm actually, believe it or not, I'm rubbing my knee as we speak because it's uncomfortable, and it sucks. And like I said, I'm on anti-inflammatory meds. I'm on I'm on the antibiotic for the stupid Rocky Mountain spotted fever. So yeah, and then I'm rubbing my leg for the pain. It's crazy. It's crazy. The rash never hurt me. The rash actually itches a little bit while it's going away. I don't know because it's drying up. So the rash is a little itchy today. But my leg itself, my knee is really hurting me tonight. So that's the issue with that. Let's see. What did I mean? What did I miss here? My thing jumped up here. Yeah, LLCs need attorneys for small claims. Whether I'm being sued or whether I'm suing somebody, I have to use an attorney. Yep. I want to be. I love that Funky Cold Medina. Great song, and a great name. I like sharing the information because if one of you folks have a problem and you take my advice and it helps you, that's a wonderful thing. I can't ask for anything better than that, right? And that's why I like sharing the information. And if I've made a mistake in the past, I'll talk about the mistakes I've made, so that way you won't make that mistake or can avoid it. And I've had successes in the past. I'll talk about how to be successful with certain things, and the different challenges I've had. But I appreciate you appreciating me. I appreciate all my followers. I can't believe I've gotten up to 204,000 or something like that followers. Just by talking on TikTok, I've never, ever once asked for a follower. I can ask you guys to ask for a follower for me, but I won't. I'm humble. I won't ask for a follower. So you guys can ask followers to follow me. But anyway, yeah, no, it's great. It's fun. I love sharing the information, So my son likes his job. Well, it's funny. He likes the money. I'll tell you, he's been making unbelievable tips this year. He worked the other day. He got $47 in tips in 3 hours. That's $16 an hour just in tips on top of his $12 hour he made. The guy made $28 an hour at the ice cream shop. He's 15 years old, but he deserved it. He's working hard. He's impressing me. It's just funny because, right, being a father, right, and my wife, you look at your kids, you're like, oh, I hope he's not going to be lazy. Hope he's going to be motivated. Hope he's going to work hard. And yes, even though it's a fight to have him empty the garbage here at the ice cream shop, he does it without even asking. So I took him there the other day because he had to open up the store, right? So I don't help him. I go there. Look, he has to open the store. He's going to do it. So and he went around. He was opening up the store, turning on the machines, counting the money, getting the register going. And you know what? He impressed me. He does a good job. Now, at the same time, Jasmine and Tim saw him standing around for a half hour the other day, there were no customers. It was raining out. Well, you don't have to stand around leaning against the freezer. You can clean things, you can organize things, you can scrape things, you can restock things. So Tim's, the regional manager, so he had a talk with him. I don't have to talk. That's none of my business. Even though I'm the owner, he's my son, I keep it separate. So Tim had to talk with him about that. But no, he's impressing me. It's his first job, and he's doing a good job at it, which I'm happy to see. Look, here's the bottom line, right? So the store's a good 25 minutes from our house, the one he works at. 25 minutes from our house. It's the furthest one. It's a pain in the neck for me to go at 10 o'clock at night and drive him and pick him up, right? Or 9 o'clock at night or whatever it is. Or even in the afternoon. I pick him up at school, and then I have to drive him over there and drop him off at work, right? To make this money he makes, right? 3 hours pay. Obviously, I could be a real stupid ass and just say, hey, here's $30 allowance, $50 allowance, $60 allowance, right? And not teach him the right thing. So no, believe me, Carissa and I are sacrificing ourselves so he can learn a work ethic, because it's a pain in the neck to drive there at night. I admit it, right? I'm at my cozy house. No, I got to go pick up my son at the ice cream shop, take an hour away from Law and Order or whatever, SWAT or whatever, to go pick him up. So yeah, that's where it's a sacrifice for him to learn, work ethic and have his first job and earn money, So yeah. But he likes his job. He does. Well, I'll tell you what, he likes his job. So a couple things happened this year. So I offered all my staff, I told them, look, a couple things with the ice cream shop I've done this year, new. I offered all the staff, if they recommend somebody to come work for us and that person stays for 30 days, they get the employee who recommended them gets $25. So that's worked. We had a few. So now they're waiting their 30 days now, and if they stay with us, they get the $25. So that's something new I tried, because obviously getting staff is tough. But we've had great applications this year, so I'm kind of optimistic. But it's not the summer yet, so we have to stock up on people. To run these stores correctly, you have to have at least 16 employees at each store, because of the amount of shifts. In the summer, you got during the course of a day, you're going to have 6 shifts, at least, maybe 7, because you might have 3 people work in the afternoon and 4 at night. Well, that's 7 shifts, right? So you can't keep recycling the same people over and over again. That's why you have to have 16. Out of those 16, because they're kids, they're going on vacations with their parents, they might play a sport, soccer, they might be in the band. We try to encourage all of the outside activities. The only thing we frown upon is if they have another job. Because when they have another job, which one are they going to put first? Which one's the priority? And you know what? This job is for kids looking for their first job. And that's why we frown upon them having another job. We'd much rather have kids. This is their only job, and they're giving it 100% attention. So that's the story with that. Hey, Funky Home, so you're retired and you love talking to possibly, yeah. So are you in the area? And if you are, listen, in my profile is a personal link to my email, to my website, my email. So if you want to contact me, you can email me with your number and I'll give you a call. Or email me and I'll send you my phone number. You can give me a call. Absolutely. So I do it all the time. I talked to somebody last week. So yeah, I like to talk to people when they say we're looking for a job. I'd like to find out what their skill set is, what their history is, what they've experienced doing, because I own a variety of businesses. I have another business that it's in the very preliminary stages, but I have shown an interest in a business that the owner's retired. The business was business for 50 years. It's completely different than the 4 businesses I own now. And it's a huge business. It's a big business, about 100 employees. And I'm looking into possibly buying that business. So it's nice to talk to people that, say to me, hey, I'm retired, I may want to work for you. Because I like to know what their experiences are, whatever it may be. Customer service, warehouse management, whatever it may be, because knowing what I have going on in my life, I probably have a position that somebody could fit into right now. So that's why I love hearing from people that are local and say, hey, I'm looking for a job, I'd love to talk to you. Because you never know. People think, okay, ice cream scooper. Well, no, we have people applying for that. But again, if somebody has experience in regional management of ice cream shops or restaurants or something like that, you never know. There's other business I'm buying, which I can't really say what it is right now because I have a confidentiality agreement that I signed. But the thing is, that particular business, I would need a variety of people for that business. Warehouse people, inventory people, moving people, truck drivers. So there's a good example where I love talking to people. When you contact me through TikTok, hey, I'd love to meet with you. Absolutely. I tried switching up the waste, but need a front load dumpster. So Brian, why do you need a front load dumpster? Because we got some really nice brand new rear load dumpsters. Well, what size do you need for your shop? What size dumpster do you need, or do you use? I'm curious about that. What happened was I think I told the story. We started out as a front load business, but then just by pure what happened with us buying M&M when they went out of business. We bought them at the auction. We ended up with 800 M&M rear load dumpsters, 6 rear load trucks. But at the same time, we have 2 front load trucks that are always breaking down. Very frustrating that the front load trucks just always break down. And one's older, one's newer, but actually the newer one's the one that always breaks down. So it's very stressful. And it's aggravating. But the rear load dumpsters for us, there's different. The one thing about the rear load dumpsters is, it has a little angle thing, but there are different size dumpsters. That's why I'm asking what size you need and what the problem is, why you would need a front load dumpster. Obviously, I want your business. I hate missing out on business, Oh, hey, California Process Server, how you doing? Well, thank you. I appreciate you liking my content. I know California laws are completely different from Rhode Island. I mean, when I see it, I guess Process Server, you must be pretty busy there. But it's, California is a nice place to visit. My brother lives in California. My nephew lives in California. They moved outside of San Francisco. I'm trying to think of the city they live in. What is the city? It is funny. It reminds me of Little House on the Prairie. What was the town they lived in Little House on the Prairie? Because that's kind of the town that they live in. And I can't think of the names on the tip of my tongue. It will come to me. Oh, my brother lives in Brentwood now, but he lived in that other one. That was a Little House on the Prairies. But he lives in Brentwood now. My brother and my nephew, they live in Brentwood. Make Tim drop him off. Yeah, I could do that. I could have Tim drop him off. So, Walnut Creek. Yeah, that's it, Walnut Creek. So, there's a Walnut Grove. So my nephew lives there, but my brother lives in Brentwood now. But he just bought a house in Florida, so I think he's getting ready to retire in Florida. Like I said, I'm the youngest of 5. All my brothers are all older than me. Hey, Cocoa Beach. So I'll tell you, I'm feeling like my leg is killing me. My knees kill me. Everyone's going to get sick of me complaining about it, but it is. Tomorrow I'm going to see the orthopedic. Well, I'm going to 2 doctors tomorrow. I have to go to my dermatologist because they have to remove the stitches that they gave me last week when they did the biopsies. So I'm going to remove the stitches, and also they're going to check out the rash, which is fading. Thank God. The rash is fading. It got dark for a while there, but the rash is fading. And it's just my knee and my leg. If I could solve that problem, I'd be back to normal. You know what sucks? I'm an active person, very active, okay? Even with my knee and my leg, I do things. Whether it hurts or not, I don't give a shit. I'm very active. Like, I love skiing. I love doing activities. I love running around with the kids. I love staying busy. And so it stinks I'm having these little distractions. I do come from good genes. Both my parents are 89 years old, and they both play golf every single day. They're active 89-year-olds. You've seen them on here. They don't even look 89. So I come from good genes. So hopefully this is just a minor distraction I'm having, and I'll be back to my active lifestyle. It's funny because this summer, just not to change the subject, but golf, right? So I've never played golf before. I don't have patience for it. I don't think. Well, I think I do now because I have more time on my hands because I'm not working as much and I got the guys running the businesses. So this December, I bought gift certificates to this golf course to a lot of my friends and relatives. Brian and Andrew both play golf. Tim plays golf, my property manager. I gave my lawyer one, right? So I was saying, I'll buy myself a gift certificate too, just in case I take up. So I have a gift certificate for myself to go play golf this summer. So I'm thinking of taking it up. So I wish that they made, and I Googled it, a golf ball with a little GPS center built in. Because I have bad eyes. So when I hit the ball and it goes far away, I can't see where it landed. Now, I know if you're with another person or a foursome, they look for you and blah, blah, blah. But I would like to know where my balls go. So I would think it would be cool if they had a golf ball with a little GPS sensor on the inside. So when you hit the ball, now you can use your phone to at least figure out where the ball is, right? I think that's kind of a cool idea. And I looked, even though they're under They're preliminary. They're built. They're trying to build them. They're experimenting with it now online. It doesn't look like anybody actually has one that they're selling. A lot of experiments, so that's why I think that would be cool to have that. But I think I want to take up golf this summer, or try it anyway and see if I like it. Maybe I'll just play 9 holes each time or something. Just love listening to you. I'm hopefully to find a business or property to buy here in Florida. So yeah, I mean, when I was in Florida, last week, it's thriving. I don't know whereabouts in Florida you are, but Florida is thriving, and growing. I can't believe the construction listen, now that COVID's going away, I mean, things are happening, but Florida is really. Florida's they're always building. What's crazy is the amount of homes and properties they're building in Florida. Where are all these people coming from? Where are they coming from? Oh, Brian, you love golf? Yeah, so my family, all my brothers, everybody in my family plays golf. I'm the only one that never played golf. So I'm going to try it. Yeah, okay. You're right. The ball won't go. Yeah, it's funny because obviously everyone's going and hit balls right at the golf range. Yeah, I've done that and I've missed a few. So you're right. Yeah. So, oh boy. Oh yeah, I could go on Shark Tank and get an investor for the new business. Is that what you're thinking? So, you want to find something your sons and I. So, that's interesting. So how old are your sons and what are your skills and what are you thinking of looking for? I mean, service business, a restaurant, there are so many different types of businesses down in Florida. There's so many businesses opening and growing and closing too. How old are your sons and what do you think they'd be interested in? Family-run businesses are great too. Now, here's the problem with it. There is a negative to family-run business, right? When you have a family event. That's all I got to say, right? Everyone will miss. Let's see. The Shark Tank investors are, listen, they are a little greedy. Yes and no. Listen, they're putting up money for 5%. Look, because they're on the show, obviously they're getting a lot of attention. They're getting all of them. Mark Cuban, all of them. You realize they actually have they have staffs that work for them that manage all these little businesses that they invest in, right? Or manage their investments. So I'm not going to say it's a nuisance to them to invest in the properties, but think about it. They're buying 5%, 10% of a business, right? That they're investing in. It's more for, obviously, the TV show. But they are investing in these businesses, and it is interesting when they do the look back and you see the business grow and how it's been successful. But trust me, Barbara Corcoran is not in the day-to-day operations of the Brothers Lobsters Fishermen or whatever, Maine Lobster Fisher, right? She's not in the day-to-day. She has people that work for her that's dealing with them day-to-day. You know what I'm saying? And so I watch Shark Tank, obviously. I love Shark Tank. And it's interesting, some of the people that come there and ask for money, right? I love the investors. I like every single investor on Shark Tank. They're all different. I like when they have the guest investors come on. They're all different. Barbara Corcoran's story is fantastic. I mean, she started with nothing, and her story is fantastic. I guess they all pretty much started with nothing. But and I think that's why they're humble. They're all down to earth. They're a little greedy. But I think that's because they realize, look, when they take 10%, they're going to pay their people now to manage it. So really, how much are they really getting? Because out of the 10%, they're paying their people to manage it, right? So it's a little bit, hey, Boca Raton, how you doing? Wow, he owns an oxygen company. Well, I got to see if you're going to own an oxygen company right down in Florida, especially Boca Raton is the place to be. Yeah, why not? And being 25, starting an oxygen, he's only going to grow from there, right? So how do you grow an oxygen company? Well, obviously, you grow your customer base, right? And it's a service business. I'm familiar with it. But also, if there's another area where, your 21-year-old wants to start it or grow it and manage another area, now you've just expanded. So that's great. There's a service business that, and I don't even think about that up here. But, I mean, obviously, even up here, people need oxygen, right? But down there, I mean, more people need oxygen. And maybe I'm just generalizing, but it seems to me that more people down in Florida need oxygen. I see a lot of people getting on the plane, right? The pre-boarding oxygen things, right? So he used to own the Merry Maids cleaning franchise, and I'm sure that was a great franchise to own as long as you were able to hire the staff, the Merry Maids, right? When you can't hire staff, that's when the business suffers the worst. This business that I'm interested in buying, or a serious interest in buying, they were hit huge by COVID, okay? And again, one of the reasons why these people are retiring now is they've owned it 50 years and they're thinking, hey, you know what? I don't have it in me to fight to try to hire more employees and rebuild the business, this and that. So that's a tough part, is employees. So when you had the Merry Maids business, I'm sure it was successful, but hiring the Merry Maids was probably a problem, But yeah, I would say a laundromat is a safe bet in the right area. In the right area, a laundromat. Listen, so I have a building that I'm thinking of putting a laundromat in. So what I'm doing is this. Not that I want to own a laundromat. I would put the laundromat in it and sell it. I want the tenant. My goal is to have tenants, right? Paying me rent. That's why in that same building next door in Pawtucket, I might put an ice cream shop. I could put an ice cream shop in one and a laundromat in the other. Sell them both. Now sell them for what it costs me to open them. I'm not trying to make a profit on that. I'd just be happy to have the two businesses pay me rent. But a laundromat, I would say, is probably a good way to go. Vending companies, I don't know much about them. I know obviously in the 80s and 90s it was big. I don't know now. It might still be big too. But you're buying the machines, putting them out there, reloading them. So, yeah, I don't know enough about it. That's the problem. To comment. I'm not going to comment on everything. If I don't know it, I'll just tell you I don't know it. $1 million in sales, yeah. Portable oxygen machines in inventory, yes. See, that's fantastic. That's great. At 25 years old, that's huge. So think about it. He's only going to get bigger. If he stays with it, he's only going to get bigger. Unless he wants to do something else. But that's great to hear. Success story. There are a lot of little businesses, and I'm sure he started small and just grew and grew and grew. There's a lot of businesses like that out there that you can start small on your own and grow. And I'm sure, I don't know, but it probably didn't take him $1 million to start that business, right? Because you start small and you grow. As you get customers, you have the cash flow, and you grow and you buy more equipment, buy more inventory, and there you go. Let's see. Yeah, supply. So that's what is very difficult right now. Now, for a lot of companies, is they cannot get the supplies in to run their. Well, I'm having that problem in my ice cream shops. This is crazy. So we buy soft serve, right? Hood soft serve in New England. Well, Hood's behind on the production because they can't get staff. We have no we have no vanilla. They can't get us vanilla. It's been a struggle for 2 weeks because they don't have people to make vanilla soft serve. So I'm having the problem myself. So I feel your pain, So my property is on Pawtucket Avenue, on the right where North Main Street and Pawtucket Avenue becomes Pawtucket Avenue. That's where my property is. It's a great neighborhood. That's where I'm thinking up there. There's a lot of multifamilies, a lot of residential. So I think a laundromat would work there. Yeah, no, see, he worked for somebody else that went out of business. You wonder why they went out of business. He has a business that obviously people need that service, right? And but good for him, they went out of business because now he's in the business. It's like me. So, when M&M Disposal went out of business, right? There's a lot of dumpster. There's so many dumpster companies just in Rhode Island, a small state, right? All nibbling at each other as customers. I didn't even realize how many dumpster companies there are. I'm not worried about it. We're so busy right now. I'm thrilled. But we met with, like I said, I had bought the M&M when they went out of business, and then Rollaway retired, so I bought them out. And so I'm slowly, I guess, eliminating some of the competition, right? Strategically. But my business is growing anyway. And that's what it is. It's about growing the business. Yeah, there used to be a Newport Creamery down the street over there. I don't think they're not near my property at all. But yeah, you're right. There used to be one over there. So the big guys do eat up the little guys. So in the trash business, right? So I learned this from my consultant when I started the business. What people do is they typically start a trash business, build up a customer base, say to 1,000 customers, and they'll sell it off to the larger company, right? They sell the business they built a lot. So they even made this long-term investment, built it up, and they sell it to larger companies. So that's what in the trash business they do. The standard practice of selling your business would be to a larger company. That's how I got into it, because my one that was servicing me sold out to the large company. And the large company, for some reason, screwed up the paperwork, didn't get us, weren't picking us up for a month and a half, then tried to charge us a transition fee and all kinds of bullshit. Yeah, it's like, bullshit, I'll start my own company, you know? I offered the salesperson, our rep from the old company, a job, but she was not happy with me at all. So, needless to say, she turned me down. Yeah, so Patriot was taken over by Mega, but really it's Waste Connect. So this national company called Waste Connect, they're a huge company, international. Look them up, Google them. Waste Connections. What they do is they buy up these small businesses, but they keep the names. So like they bought Mega or Mega. They bought Mega, but they kept the name Mega. So everyone thinks, oh, I'm dealing with Mega, I'm dealing with Mega. No, you're not. You're dealing with Waste Connect, the big national company. So I don't know why they did that. I guess to make it sound like they're still local, because there's actually three of them. There was Goulin, there was Patriot, and there was a third one that was bought up last year. I can't think of the third one. Well, Mega, Goulin, and Patriot were all bought by Waste Connect, and they kept Mega's name. Is what happened. Well, that's what happened. See, they raised everyone's, they knew what they were doing when they bought it. Supply and demand. Like you said, the big guys eat up the little guys, so also the big guys can charge whatever they want. Now, for me, I'm trying to build a business so it just makes some money. It's out of my sight. I don't want to see it. Just let it run. And maybe someday will be business that I'll sell, or it might be a business that my kids want to run later on. I hope not, but you never know if they want to take over my running the 4 businesses. And again, if I do this other project, it'll be 5, and that one will be probably that'll be the biggest business I own if I buy it. But yeah, they raised everyone's prices. Well, that's what they did with me. They tried to charge me a transition fee from my accounts over to the new company, which obviously I got rid of that. But yeah, they're raising everyone's prices. And you know what? That's good for Butler Waste, because now it's an opportunity for Butler Waste to get customers. We just started, like I said, last week, welding and painting dumpsters and remodeling. So we refurbished the dumpsters so we can give people nice new shiny dumpsters, black dumpsters with Butler on them. So that's what we're doing now. Anyway. So you can't break the contract even though they've gone up twice since you signed. You know, those contracts are interesting because there is some vagueness there. So, for instance, if they miss a stop, they broke the contract. If they forget you 1 week, they broke the contract. Whether it was this week or a year ago, they broke the contract. You know, so far with us, we've lost a few customers, right? The main reason why we lost a few customers, our truck broke down. It was broke for 2 days and we couldn't get to them. So customers are really upset about their garbage, right? Even though we went and picked them up after and gave them all free ones, they're going to leave. So we've lost over the year probably 6 customers in a year since we've been in business, year and a half. Not bad, right? So you're going to lose some here and there. You just got to deal with it, you know? But if a customer leaves us, all right, fine. I let them out of their contract. Let's move on. I don't want to fight with people, you know? But I have fought over a couple of the larger ones, you know, and this one to me looks like one that's worth you fighting over. Called 3 times with no communication back. So if you've called them 3 times with no communication back, then obviously you have to decide if they've broken your contract. Sounds to me like they might have, Anyway, let's see. So, but if somebody doesn't want to, so here's the way I look at it with the contract. If somebody doesn't want to do business with me, well, okay, fine. I don't want to force them to. The contracts are really mainly so the other companies don't steal the customer from you. But if a customer is truly unhappy with you and they want out of the contract, fine. We'll come pick up the dumpster. That's my thought on it. That's what I like to do. Anyway, so I got to get going because Chris's parents are still visiting, my in-laws, and I told them that 9:15 I'd go hang out with them and have dessert. But I wanted to do my lives. I hadn't done a live this weekend. Now, I do have a bunch of, I just realized they have done drafts. So TikToks, between tonight and tomorrow, I'm going to post a bunch of TikToks. Some of the stuff I talked about tonight, but most it's going to be new. But I want to remind everybody that my TikToks are on my YouTube channel, Jeff Never Had Job Security on YouTube. I'm also going to start doing my podcast on, I'm trying to find a good place because I'm going to do my podcast where I can interview people on the phone. It could be even somebody like you folks around the world that want to talk to me on the phone and ask me questions. And I can ask you questions. Like I said, I'm impressed. The guy starting the oxygen business, right? That's a really cool business. And it's about the money. It's not glamorous, right? But trash isn't glamorous either. But it's about the money. Who gives a shit? Right? As long as you're making money, you have a retirement from it. And that's what people have to realize. When I first started the trash business, my kids were embarrassed to tell people I own a trash business, right? Because they were embarrassed at that young teenage age where they're embarrassed of their father. They're not going to be embarrassed, though, later on if I sell it. And they got some millions, right? Anyway, so I want to thank everybody for joining me tonight. I'm going to post this on YouTube after. And if you do have any questions, I always say this, send them to me on any of my other TikToks I post, because I will respond to the questions. I always do, either with a video or I'll respond on the TikTok, because I really like to answer the questions. I don't want people to think I'm ignoring you. So thanks again for joining me tonight. I'm going to get going now, but I will do my Wednesday night live like I normally do. So I will serve everybody Wednesday anyway.